Hey everybody, it's Hayden from Connect here. Thanks for tuning in. In today's video in Power BI, we're going to get started with measures and calculated columns. Just a few simple tricks to help you get started. In the previous videos in this series, we've processed some CSV files, we've processed some Excel files, and we've created our data model. Now, what I want to do now is if I show you our data model here, we have our core table, which is our shipments. We have our shipment costs, and then on our orders we have our products. What I want to do, if I take a look at this data, in the order information, what I have is a product and a quantity here. So what I don't have is the price in this table or the revenue. I don't necessarily need it in this table, but to demonstrate how to simply add data into your table, I'm going to add a new column that's going to bring in the price from the products table. So hit new column. I want to call this product price. And this, to pull data in from a related table, is very simple. To refer to it, you type in the DAX function related, and I'm going to type in price, and it will find the product's product price there. Okay, so there we have the price of each product. Now what I want to do is generate the revenue from that product and order. So again, right click, new column. Okay, so this column, we'll call it revenue, and this is simply product price times quantity. There you go. So now, very simply, I've got the revenue based off two tables in my orders table. Now, what I want to do is show you another way to build that information in a measure. So it's always better when you can to use measures in Power BI. You can't see the measures in tables. If we click in here, I'm going to show you first of all. So I'll build a table. The order ID, and we'll pick the order date, which is in the shipments table. Now, whenever you select date in Power BI, it does this hierarchy. I don't want that. So simply click on this down arrow and select the date, and that will turn it into a date. I don't necessarily need time, but we'll format that later. What I'm going to show you now is the order revenue. Take away the order ID. Okay, so what I have for these orders is the total revenue. Now, another way to have created that data would have been through a measure. Let me show you. So, new measure, and there's functions in DAX that allow you to either sum a column or iterate through the rows and calculate. And I'll show you two examples of those with sum and SUMX. So for sum, I'm going to generate revenue. So revenue, and I'll call this one measure, so we know it's from a measure, equals sum revenue. Close brackets, enter. That measure appears over here with this little icon. Simply click that to bring it, click that to bring it into my table, and you can see that it's got the exact same result. So creating that measure hasn't created another column in a table, but you've got that same information there. So what I want to do now is show you another way of generating that using what's called SUMX. Now, new measure. What SUMX does, revenue SUMX, SUMX. So effectively through a table, you can build in a calculation into your sum. So I can tell this sum X that in the table orders, comma, I want to multiply the product price by the quantity. Hit close, brackets, hit enter, and let's bring that one across as well. As you can see, 3 ways to do the same thing. A lot less work to generate this sum X column. I didn't have to create previous columns and calculate. So that's a quick example of the measures. So what I want to show now is another measure using filters within the measure. So calculate function. So if I look at the data in my warehouses, I have number 4 for Worcester. So the hub location ID is 4. So what I want to do is I want to calculate the total revenue for all orders from Worcester. You can build this easily in a visual, but I just want to demonstrate how to use the calculate function. As calculate really is probably the most used function that I certainly use in DAX. It gives you the most flexibility. If you're new to Power BI, even if you're used to Excel, calculate you won't be used to it. It's totally unique to Power BI. So I'm going to do calculated revenue. So equals. So if it's shift and enter to take a new row, I want to calculate. So I want to calculate. So I have to shift and enter. By the way, always indents to help you structure your DAX. So sum X. This is the orders table. And I want to multiply the product price by quantity. Okay, so that's the sum X that we had in the previous measure. So if I hit comma now, you can see here it's moved on to the filter stage. So if I enter filter, so filter this where the hub, so the table is the warehouses and the hub location ID is equal to 4, which was the Worcester site. So close brackets to close that off. Okay, so I'll bring that into a quick card. There we go. Where did it put my measure? Calculated revenue. Okay, so as you can see, the total revenue here is different to these totals down here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a quick slicer to the data. So a slicer is a basic filter. This is your basic slicer here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to select Worcester. Now as you can see, I've filtered through this way, but I've actually generated that filter through the DAX code using calculate. Now you can use calculate to do averages, you can use it to do pretty much any calculation you want in Power BI. It's a really powerful DAX code, and I suggest that you sort of get familiar with it if you're new and enjoy using it because it's so flexible. It's great. And that's all for today's video. So be tuning in next time to look at data hierarchies and having visuals that drill through and show you how to build simple visuals that will impress your customers. Thank you. Goodbye.